Hey guys, Pro here at VIP Outdoors, and today we're going to make a carne con chile. The cut that we're going to be using of the venison is the deer shank. So deer shanks have become very, very popular over the last couple of years, deer and elk, any venison shank really. But everything you hear about shanks is ossobuco, ossobuco, ossobuco. If I got to hear about a recipe, ossobuco recipe with shanks one more time, I'll absolutely puke. I'm just kidding. It's actually a really good recipe. This is just something a little bit different to do it with. Same idea though. What we want to do is we want to braise this meat down because there's so much silver skin, so much connective tissue. You really want to break it down and braise it so you're able to consume the entire piece without having too much waste. What I did is I took the shank off the bone and then I dry brined it on a rack with just salt, pepper, and garlic. Now I got a hot cast iron pan, almost a pot. This one's about 5 to 6 inches deep. And I'm gonna put those shanks in there. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit more, probably medium-high heat. All the way along the bottom. Get them right along the bottom just like that. So take a look at these. We got them all the way across the bottom there. Push them down nice and tight. We're gonna let that go for, oh heck, about 10-15 minutes. What we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna come through, see how that's already getting a nice char to it. And we are gonna just turn this and let it sear on the outside. That searing on the outside is gonna just give us another layer of flavor, if you will, when it comes to the cooking process. But this is part one. Let's go over to the charcoal grill where we're gonna take care of part two. The important part of chile con carne is the chile part, right? So this is a simple roasted chile recipe that's right off the grill. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some regular red tomatoes, some tomatillos, some onions, jalapeños, serranos, and garlic. Directly over the coals. I don't got a grate on there or anything. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my garlic, my onion, jalapeno serranos, and my tomatillos and tomatoes. These do not have olive oil on them, guys. What we're looking for is that charred outside, and going direct like this over lump coal and charcoal is gonna give you that nice rustic smoky flavor that a lot of times is missing in salsa. So you want to keep this moving. Let me grab my tongs. Especially this garlic, okay? This garlic's going to start charring on you. That's no big deal. That's what we want. Just keep it turning. Make sure things don't get too billed. Look at that. That's what we're looking for. That nice blister on the tomato. You don't want to let the tomatoes go so long to where they blister and break open on you, but you want that char on the outside. Takes no time at all to do it like this. Make sure, and it's kind of a little bit of a labor intensive process just because you got to keep an eye on everything, but you infuse these veggies with that smoke from the lump charcoal and the regular charcoal, and it really does make a difference in your end product. So, all right, let's let these hang out for a little bit. Let's go check on the shanks and see how they're doing. Shanks are doing pretty good. Getting a nice char on the bottom side. Maybe should have put a little more oil in the bottom of the cast iron pot here. I don't think it's ever too late for a little more oil, so I'm gonna dump a little bit more in. I got plenty of heat in that pan to where it's not gonna, you're not going to lose too much heat at all. That's what I like about cast iron pans, that once that heat's in that pan, it stays there. Get that nice and mixed up. These shanks are off of blacktail that we took on that last trip up in Kodiak, Alaska, over at Foxtail Lodge with Jerry Munson and his guys. And I'll tell you what, you get a chance to do it, go do it. That is one of the most fun trips that you could take. Great opportunity to harvest animals, whether it be black-tailed deer, sea ducks, do some fishing while you're there. Just a great all-around trip. The reason I bring that up is these black-tailed deer in Sitka, when it comes to eating, everyone talks about how good of a deer whitetail is. I would put the Sitka blacktail up against those or any other deer on the market. They are absolutely phenomenal. Let's take a look at these guys here. There we go. So the jalapeno's starting to get charred. Serrano's looking good. And depending on your personal preference for heat, don't feel like you have to put that many jalapenos or that many serranos in there. You could use as little or as much as you want when it comes to those type of peppers. It's all about what you like. I think that's probably my favorite part about salsas is that you can mix green tomatoes, red tomatoes, different types of peppers, garlic, onion. You can put fruit in salsa. You could do all sorts of different stuff with this. So almost there. And we're gonna I want those tomatoes to get a little bit soft. They still got a little ways to go. The jalapenos and everything are gonna be there a little bit before anything. So another thing I guess about the heat is if you want less heat but you like the flavor of the jalapeno, before you put it on there, split it open, remove the seeds, remove all the ribs from there, which is the white spongy texture in there, and you'll still have that flavor without a lot of that punch in the heat. Good. Get that garlic turning. Don't let that garlic intimidate you. That's the way it's supposed to look. What's happening is that garlic inside of its own peel is roasting, and we're gonna be able to squish those out of there. They're gonna be nice and caramelized. Gonna be awesome. Okay, I'm throwing this Serrano in there. And I just have my blender ready to go. Everything's gonna go in this blender for our final project. And you wanna take a minute to dust the ash off, that's fine. I'm a little bit of a savage that way, it doesn't bother me too much. Got this Tomatillos doing. Okay, I bet you next go around when I come back, these are gonna be pretty dang close to done. All right, back over here to the shanks. Looking good. Tough to see with all that smoke, but that's okay. The natural fats are coming out of that shank, and there's a lot of fat inside of a shank. Got a little deer fur in there, take that out. Deers have hair, not fur, by the way. Okay, so all the natural fats are gonna wanna come out of there, and that's what we want. You can look at that and just look at how much fat wants to come out of there. That's a good thing. But if you were to try to barbecue this or anything else, it wouldn't be a favorable cut of meat. I mean, you can see how spongy and hard and thing it is. But what we're gonna do is, once we braise this down, it's gonna be braising for a good hour and a half. All that's gonna break down, and you're gonna have that fat and that, and what makes it chewy is actually gonna help the dish, and then it's gonna give it some fat and some richness that all equals flavor. So let's go ahead and get this salsa whipped together real quick. I got my jalapenos ready to go. And put my tomatillos. And I think I got about 6 tomatillos. I got 2 jalapenos, 1 serrano. I got, let me see, how many tomatoes? I'm gonna let those go a little bit longer. I got garlic. I'm not gonna use that entire garlic. I'm probably gonna use about half of it. Now what the heck, let's throw them in there. Good enough for this guy. Take my onion. I'm actually gonna cut the onion up. Same with the garlic. Let's head back over this direction. Okay. Forgot a knife. Of course I did. Of all the things to forget, I forgot a knife. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back with my knife. A little overkill, but that's okay on the knife. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that end off that onion and see how it's already softened up enough, for quite a bit actually. So that onion's not nearly as sharp. I'm just gonna rough cut it, put it in the blender. And now for my garlic. I wanna show you the garlic here. So here's the peels. You just take your fingers and rip that apart. That peel comes right off there. And you have a little bit of a roasted garlic. The areas that got more heat, the peels come off even easier. This garlic has a bunch of tiny little teeth in there, not sure why, but anyways, we're gonna break a few of these off here. And let's go and put it in the blender. Okay, so I got about 6-7 cloves of garlic there. Take my top. And we're gonna blend this down. We're gonna refine it pretty good. The reason we're gonna bring it down is because I'm actually gonna put it right back into the pot. But before I do that, I wanna freshen it up a little bit. But take a look at that salsa. Look how, I mean, that alone is absolutely gorgeous. And we're actually not gonna use all of it because I want to save a little bit for afterwards. I want to freshen it up, put a little cilantro in there, put a little bit of lime in there, probably about half to a full lime. I'm going to start with half. I'm going to give it one more shot in the blender. That's it. Now, here's where the chile con carne comes into play. We got, again, our shanks that are now nice and charred. You know, fat coming out of them. And I'm gonna use, I have, what is this, a cup and a half? Or no, that's more than that. I don't know. I got 40 ounces, which is five cups. I'm gonna use 3 cups in here. Go directly to the pan. Alright, okay. We're gonna let that cook down a little bit. Just for a second or two. I'm gonna throw in some vegetable broth. You could use beef broth also, beef stock, whatever you got in there. And last but not least, we're gonna throw a beer in there. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. And once I bring this up and get this nice and hot, I'm gonna turn it down to a simmer, probably on medium to medium low heat, and I'm gonna put a lid on it. When you're cooking outside with these cast iron vessels, if you will, you gotta keep an eye on the moisture because you're more likely to lose a lot of that moisture through the steam. So just make sure you have plenty of moisture throughout the cooking process, throughout that hour, hour and a half, and that way it doesn't go dry on you. But anyways, just keep an eye on it. If you need to add some water, no big deal. Just take some water, get everything submerged. You could use more vegetable stock, more beer, whatever you'd like. So we're gonna get this, bring it to a boil, simmer it down, go work out, and in an hour and a half, we're gonna have awesome carne con chile. Okay, so we've had this meat braising for about 45 minutes. And as you can see, it's starting to break down, starting to get soft, but not 100% done. We're gonna let that go a little bit longer, probably another half hour, maybe even another 45. But see how this is reduced down? Now that chile is very, very condensed. So all that liquid, we had that liquid up to here when we started. So it's reduced by about half. The fact that we gotta go another half hour, I'm gonna add some more water to it. Got about 3.5 cups going in there, and submerge it again. All that water, it's gonna evaporate again, and you're gonna have that really nice condensed chile con carne when you're all done. So again, with this outdoor cooking and this braising process, you have to account for that water evaporating on you. So don't worry about having a watered down version. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a nice condensed, awesome, bold flavor. Hey guys, let's go ahead and get wrapped up with this carne con chile. So what we did last night is we actually let this deer shank braise down for about 2 hours, and I ended up adding about 3 more cups of water to it. You really want to keep an eye on it, because if you take a look here, you see all that fluid we have in there. Look how far it reduced. There's not a lot in there, but what it did is end up making a really nice thick hearty gravy. And you could eat this just like this. Just put it on a plate with some beans, some rice, some torts, and it'd be a great meal. But what I want to do is I'm going to make some quick tacos out of it. What I did is I took some corn torts, some queso fresco, put it on the grill so I could melt that down just a little bit. Then we ended up putting them on the plate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that carne con chile, stuff it inside. And we got one more. Load this one up right here. Don't be stingy with it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, put a grilled onion on each one of them. This is just a regular green onion, a little bit of olive oil, some salt. Got more cilantro on there to freshen it up. And a little bit of that leftover salsa that we had, that we originally poured into the deer shanks. Put that right over the top. And that is how we make carne con chile with deer shanks at VIP Outdoors. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.